George Tzavaras, thank you for joining us today here at Athens International Airport.
It's a pleasure.
Tell me a little bit about what your role is here.
I've been working for the airport company since 1998. That's a little bit before the airport opening, during construction. And I'm currently the director of the Aviation business unit.
And Athens International Airport is one of the founding members of the CESAR 3 joint undertaking.
Indeed.
What does that mean?
It first of all means that we are part of a governing board, so we get to take part in the decision-making process of CESAR. And above all, the very important thing is that we get to participate in the research and innovation process of CESAR, which means that we have a say in what the future solutions, which will become mandatory actually in a few years, in our field of interest, what influences the airports. We get to have a say, to have our influence in what these solutions are going to be.
And how important is it to be part of the community that is built around a project like CESAR 3?
It is certainly important because, first of all, our personnel that participates in these projects gets a very valuable experience, which we are going to, which paves actually the way for the implementation of these solutions later on. And we see that, we have also seen that through our participation and through the building of relations with the other important stakeholders of the civil aviation community in Europe and building relations with them, actually besides the participation in the projects and our cooperation, it provides a very valuable tool for even our day-to-day operations. And we get to be, we are able to pick up the phone, for example, and get in contact with someone to solve problems right now, and also that will prove valuable in the future as well.
So that gives us an idea of the context you're working in. What about the actual research areas that you're looking at with this group?
Yes, we have currently submitted our proposals for 5 areas. These areas are the capacity on demand and the dynamic airspace. It's the U-space and the urban air mobility. It's the artificial intelligence and it's the multimodality and the passenger experience. We also participate in research, in exploratory research on safety and efficiency.
Are these projects that will be implemented here at Athens?
These are research projects, so they will at some point contribute to building deployment solutions, so industrialized solutions, that at a later stage will perhaps become mandatory.
So is there a regulatory aspect to what you're doing if they could be mandated?
It becomes, for example, it's CP1, the Common Project 1, to which we are part. The solutions mandated through CP1 came from the previous cycles of the CESAR. Now we are in cycle 3 of CESAR, so whatever we end up with as solutions on this cycle will become mandatory later.
And over, if we look, say, at a 5 to 10 year cycle, which are those projects that are growing out of CESAR that you think are going to become the most prevalent? What are the changes we're going to see in this ecosystem? Is it all about ATM?
It is mainly about ATM. However, currently it seems that through what we call total airport management, for example, we realize that it is impossible to have a system that is resilient, that is efficient, that is flexible enough if we work on silos, and if we don't coordinate and cooperate in a more close way. In fact, we are also now looking at stakeholders outside of the strict airport perimeter. We start dealing with the highways, the railways, the taxis, all other stakeholders on a wider sense that have an influence on the punctuality, on the resilience, on the reliability of the whole system. So in what concerns the research taking place in CESAR 3, the current cycle that we participate, it is not very clear in which solution we're going to end up. However, looking at the common project, previous common projects, which are the mandatory part where we mandate the previous solutions, then it is clear that all this actually goes into making the whole European civil aviation system more efficient, more resilient, and in fact, the results of this research would not only be felt by the airport operators, not even by the airport stakeholders. They will be felt on a network scale and ultimately by the passengers.
And if we just explore a little more this idea of total airport management, what are the key elements of that that an airport could take, adopt, and start looking at as of today that have come out of the CSAR projects?
Actually, a lot of research is currently taking place to define to the very detail what that finally mean. But in fact, in principle, let's say, and as a concept, we are looking at providing the tools that are efficient enough, adapted enough, and give us the capability to plan and to monitor and also to do better decision making by taking into account all the processes that are involved around the door-to-door travel of the passenger. In fact, we have stopped. We saw that we cannot only look at the aircraft turnaround on the air side. We have to take a wider look, a higher look from door to door. So all this will contribute to having a better experience for the passenger, door to door, and not only for the turnaround, which also makes sense ultimately because all these aspects I have mentioned ultimately influence the travel.
So it sounds as if in a shift from purely airside to landside,
Indeed.
it becomes more passenger-centric.
It is, yes, it becomes passenger-centric, and it has to look into all aspects of the passenger experience, from the time they leave their homes to the time they take off or they reach the destination and even beyond, perhaps.
And just to focus back in again on Athens International, where we're standing now, what are the specific projects that have been implemented here, or you're looking at implementing quite soon?
Yes, indeed, because we became part of the SIP Common Project 1. So this means that we are in a process of implementing the AOP, the Airport Operational Plan, and the network connection to the network operation plan. And we have by the end of 2027 to go to the extended AOP, as we call it, which means that we will have extended, let's say, interconnection and coordination with the network manager. So we have to be able to provide the meaningful information to the network and get back also information from the network to become more efficient, a more efficient node, high-performing node of the network.
If I could give you a magic wand and you could make one significant change as a result of R&D, either here or across the network as a whole, what would you want to see happen? And could it be a reality?
Since I get to say whatever I want.
Anything you want.
First of all, anything would have to be implemented across the board and across the network, because otherwise local implementation doesn't make any difference. So if we are looking at airports, I would say that it would be very useful to have very close cooperation and exchange of data between all stakeholders within the airport perimeter and outside of the airport perimeter. Whoever or whatever can influence the travel of the passenger, we need to be, all of us, exchange meaningful data and be able, out of this data, to get some conclusions and to be able to be predictive, proactive, and more efficient. That's for the looking at the airports. I would also say, if we're looking at the network and the airspace, I would say that it would be ideal if we were able to have aircraft flying their optimum routes, whatever they want, anytime, without any restrictions and without any delays. So that would have fantastic benefits in terms of the environment, financial benefits, punctuality, you name it. That's also a holy grail, and I think the whole system actually works on achieving those two things. They are very complicated puzzles, but I think the pieces are put together through research, through deployment, gradually by all of us.
And it sounds as if a collaborative platform is therefore inherently key to this. One final question. Do you feel that everything we've discussed is as relevant for an airport of any size? Smaller regional airports, hubs? Is this genuinely across the board?
It is in various ways and in different scales perhaps, but every airport that has even one flight has a finite effect on the network, inevitably. So small or a large effect it does have. That's why all solutions have to be tailor-made, and be able to be adapted to each size. It doesn't one size fits all for the airport. It doesn't work like that. We have airports in the islands, for example, that have 1-2 movements per day. Maybe they are insignificant to the network, but we have medium, larger hubs. So everything has to be appropriately sized and be relevant to the operation of each airport and to the effect that it does have to the network.
We wish you the best of luck in making your wishes realities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time today.
It was a